It's breezy, but it's hot. So we go from one extreme to the other. Yesterday, it was breezy, but it was cold. So I don't know if we come to a happy median. Um, so how much is strawberries, fresh ones, on the farm where you're located from? They're charging 75 cents a quart here for strawberries. And I think my son that said if you pick your own. Uh, I like strawberries and I like local strawberries, but there's very little or at least minimal work in caring for strawberries. You might have to put some straw down. Um, you might have to go through with a plow or a harrow or something and dig up the dirt around them. It's done by a tractor most of the time. Uh, Matter of fact, I would say probably all the time. So they're not using that much fuel to go through one field and loosen the dirt. And they're certainly probably putting Princep or something down to keep the weeds down. So I'm not paying them 75 cents a quart to pick my own strawberries. Um, you're probably figuring, well, then you don't need to eat them. That's true. I don't need to eat them. See, there's some things in life that I learned that you don't really need them, and if you keep buying them, they're going to keep charging you astronomical figures for that product. It costs very little to grow strawberries. So I think if God bless them, they ought to at least be reasonable with the prices. Um, so that said, I hope you're enjoying the season. I hope you got some fresh strawberries. I know I was down to Florida a couple years ago, and I got some fresh strawberries right out of the field. Boy, they were big and they were good. And I think probably I like strawberries from Florida better than I do strawberries from California. Actually, I don't really like anything from California. That state's so fouled up and so polluted, it's not funny. So I try not to ingest any other oranges or any other fruit. And sweet corn, same way. I don't eat any corn that comes out of California. I just don't trust Gavin Newsom and his Democrats that are polluting the landscape. And I just got done washing dishes. I had two sinks full. That one of them was just for Saturday before last that they were here from my Harrisburg, and my daughter-in-law is a terrible cook. Hey, Spot, come here. She she has to dirty 4 or 5 pans just to make breakfast, and she'll scramble eggs and put them in a cast iron frying pan and don't use any shortening, and then the eggs stick to the pan. But it's okay if she wants to clean the pan, but she puts the pan in the sink. Well, they go home and I get stuck with cleaning the pan. And she had she had 5 pans, 5 cast iron pans, and she had bacon. She put on sheet pans, no parchment paper down or anything. And I take care of my items. And her husband went to chef school, and it's a poor excuse when it was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and it wasn't a very good school, but he graduated. But that doesn't make him a cook. Um, but my daughter-in-law, she can't fry an egg if she fried an egg to save her life, she couldn't do it. She doesn't have any technique about cooking. Her dad's the same way. He's a butcher when it comes to the kitchen. Her mom can cook a little bit, but back when they were younger and my daughter-in-law was growing up, both dad and mom were on heavy drugs, and that pretty much was a I don't care attitude. Do the drugs, do the drugs, do the drugs. everything else went by the wayside. And that's what happens mostly with druggies. They don't have any value for life. So, anyways, get long story short, I got the cast iron frying pans cleaned up. I soaked them in hot water with soap and used a light scouring pad and got all the debris off of the eggs. But then I got them all cleaned up, and my son makes dinner today. What's the first thing he does? I have a whole set of stainless steel frying pans and cookware, and he gets the cast iron frying pans out and makes eggs and pancakes in the cast iron frying pans. And that's okay, but he goes to work, folks. And I have a son that I think he has the idea just because he takes me to doctor's appointments and that periodically that I owe him a living. He cuts the grass once in a while, but if we go out to eat, I pay for it. If we buy groceries, I pay for them. I pay the light bill. I pay the taxes. I pay everything. I buy the coal for the heat. And no, he has a decent paying job, and he's not a contributor. He's an abuser. He takes everything he can get for nothing, and actually takes it for granted. I guess he thinks I owe him a living, and that's basically his my fault and his mom's fault because after he got out of college, we left him stay here at home instead of booting him out and said, "You okay? You're old enough to get a job and get a place of your own." And for years and years and years, we provided for him, and he got accustomed to it. And that's what we deal with in the older years. But I'm sure some of you are going through the same thing. You got children, and they just don't want to leave the nest. I've been after him to get married and bring me some grandchildren, and he don't. He's too fussy with the girls. He wants a girl that matches his mom, and I said, "You're not going to get a woman like that. They're 1 in 100 million." And I said, you're lucky if you get a good woman. Don't look for a woman that's better than good. His mom was an exceptional woman. She was better than good, and I can't say anything bad about his mother. She was a God given woman, and she took care of me. She had a pure love for her family, and when my wife passed away and I married another one, she had a pure hatred toward my grandchildren, and she didn't have any grandchildren of her own because her daughter was a lesbian and one son was a homosexual, and then the other one was old enough that they couldn't bear children anymore. They were up in their 40s and they didn't want children, and but he married a millionaire's daughter, so he didn't have room for kids, and the wife that left me was a very evil woman, you know, and if you're looking for a spouse, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, I'm gonna advise you don't look on a dating service. I found the wife that left me on Christian Mingles, and she told me, oh, she even assured me she was a Christian, and she walked the walk, talked the talk, uh, but she only walked the walk when she was around her buddies from her Nazarene church. She didn't she didn't have a love for. I don't think she even had a love for her family because she never told her kids how to get saved. She was afraid possibly of losing a relationship with the kids, but I'd sooner lose a relationship with my children than to see them burn in hell because I didn't tell them there's a way to get saved. And there's so many people, they fear losing their children. Don't they fear the fact that if they don't tell their children about salvation, maybe no one else will? And if you don't and no one else does, they're going to live eternally in hell. They're going to be tortured for all eternity. Doesn't that mean something to people? I'm not perfect. I wasn't the perfect father because I always worked. I was a workaholic. If my boss would tell me to work overtime, I'd work overtime. If he tell me to do enough work to cover for 2 people, I'd do what I was told. The Bible tells me if they tell you to walk 1 mile, give them 2. And that was always my philosophy in life, that the employer hired me, he gave me a job and benefits, and, I'm 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 duty sworn to that employer because they provided for my family and me. So, maybe I don't have the same ethics program that everyone else has in their life, but, you know, I don't hate my employers that I work for. I was in the Army, I love the Army, and, it was an adventure, and, most people don't get the opportunity to see Europe, and I've seen quite a bit of Europe, and it was all thanks to the United States Army and the Air Force. We done projects for the Air Force. All right, folks. So, anyways, I'm gonna make chocolate chip cookies for next or for the 4th of July. I'm gonna put them in the freezer so that they stay fresh, and I'm gonna spoil my grandchildren. So, have a great day. God bless you. Talk to you later.